first of many edits I'm sure I will have to make is I wanted to adjust how this was going to print. So in order to do that, because we're going to probably print with this face on the print bed, I wanted to take this off and make it into a little slot thing that we can slide in. So in order to do that, ooh, so problem already presents itself with this design because this is so close. So what we are going to have to do is let's take all of this, all that, Shift D, duplicate, GY, bring it out, P, separate selection, and then we'll make this its own thing. Let's dissolve that vertex because we won't need it. Put a face here. Then we'll extrude a bit. Let's see. Got snap on right now. So let's say 7 millimeters. That should maybe make it a little more. Let's say 10 millimeters. That'll slot in pretty decently. Now we're gonna have to move it, well, not this one. But with that, we're gonna have to move this one down a bit. So let's go ahead and take this. Say it goes down. Let's hang this one out here. We'll put that just a little bit above as a measuring tool. These. We'll circle select on those with C. We'll bring this down. Maybe 2.5 millimeters. We can get rid of that one now. I could bring this down. We'll just snap it over here. And then we'll need to make some new points. Let's subdivide there. Then we can snap these up here and snap those GZ and then GY. So they snap around there. Oh, I don't even need this. Let's get rid of that because we're making our slot here. Okay. So let's go ahead and auto merge. That's fine. That one can auto merge. That one can auto merge. Just make sure there's not the additives. Alright. And now we need to enlarge this by 0.5 millimeters. So this will go up to 2. And this can go down to 6.5. That should be wide enough. And let's set median point, right? And let's this to about 5, so let's 0.5 on both sides. And that should give us enough of a slot. And this was 10 millimeters, right? Right. So now we can go inward 10.5 millimeters. There. And now that should slot in here and let us print this. We want, you know what, just so we don't even have to worry about you didn't connect, it's okay. Worry about any support being printed in here. We're going to do our little angle trick, but instead of a cone, we're just going to make a little roof that's at least 45 degree 45 degrees. And now we should be able to slot those in there. All right, so that's the first. Another edit. Looks like I forgot to put the support rods over onto the stock over here. So I'm gonna take these vertices and let's go ahead and take these edges as well. And I'm gonna Shift D to duplicate, P, separate selection. I'm gonna go ahead and hide this. Pull these out a bit. Go to edit mode with this. And control left click on that. We're gonna mesh, knife project, no cut through. We got holes on that. The face is looking decent. Get rid of this. Then we can go in with our faces. Let's get rid of the edge loops here, or edge links. Okay, E to extrude, G, Y, and let's go ahead and right click to poke our faces. I can raise them up. Let's turn off snap. Them up to at least 45 degrees so we don't need to print any support in there. And this one could be a bit longer. Up to there. We should help support. Actually, since we're printing from this face, we're probably not going to need these, but oh well. Yeah, that should be it for that one. Another little thing I'd like to do for our trigger is bevel these edges a bit to make them a little more comfortable to handle. So I'm going to take the outer edge loops here, and then really don't need these, but these, right click, you know what? Might as well get those two. And let's bevel. That's going to cause some problems. So let's get rid of these edges and let's put them over here. I'll make them a little easier to bevel. Click these vertices, get rid of those, put a face there. That one went in the wrong place. There. Let's get rid of these, face, and then face, and face. Alright, that should be a little easier for the bevel. And then we can do this again. Beveling edges. This area gets a little tight. Guess we could get rid of some of that sharpness by just snapping this over here with G, Y, and then GX, GY, and then GX. There, that should give us a little more room to get a little more beveling done without disrupting the appearance too much. I think that's okay. Alright, on to the next one. Another little edit, I was concerned with the shell fitting into the barrel properly, and now while the scale is fine, I want to edit this down a bit to give it a beveled ramp so it slides in a bit more comfortably. So in order to do that, go ahead and bevel just one. Do something like this. That way the shell doesn't hit this flat face here and just get stuck. Hopefully with this it'll slide in a bit more comfortably. And we'll have to print this from this face because of that. Just make that a little deeper. Should be fine. I'm a little worried about the structural integrity since this part is going to be connected to the main frame of our gun, and this is going to take a little strength away from that, unfortunately. Let me see where that is. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be enough, and you know, the steel bar that's going to the pump will also help support it. I hope that'll be enough. Alright, on to the next edit. And I also noticed we have two little pins over here that I'd like to add. And then on top of that, since we do have our foresight, I'd like to add a rear sight back here. So let's get those pins taken care of with a shift right click. Let me adjust myself over here. Alright, shift right click to get our 3D cursor over here. Then we'll hit shift A, open a mesh. Let's get a circle. And let's say maybe that's 10 millimeters, well, considerably smaller than 10 millimeters. How about 5? That looks okay. And then we will rotate along the y-axis 90 degrees. And maybe even shrink those further. Maybe like this. And we'll take this out a little bit along the x-axis there. And then we'll go into edit mode, shift D to duplicate, and then we'll put one down here, I think, as well. And then we will get our main frame and edit mode, and then get these guys with control left click, mesh, knife project. Those right in there. And looks like that one got divided a little bit. That's okay. And then we'll just pull this out with extrude, right click G, X. And then we'll pull this out, say 0.5 millimeters or so. And then we'll pull out again with extrude, then right click G, X. And then we'll scale. Let's go to individual origins for our pivot point. Scale it down. And then this might not bevel the way I'd like. Let's get rid of these edges and put a face in there. And it doesn't look like it came out straight, does it? Let's deselect that one. Pull this down. You know, it might be smarter just to pull that whole thing down a little bit. So let's control Z before the knife project. Let's go into edit mode here. I'll actually edit mode for both of them so we can see our lines better. And then we'll just pull this one down below that line. That way we don't have to worry about it at all. So edit, control, click, disorientation, mesh, knife project, and we'll extrude, right click, GX. Let's put that around 0.5 or so. Extrude, right click, GX again, scale down. And then we will bevel these edges, give it a kind of roundish look. And those will be those two pins. And then we can do the same thing on the other side. So this one, move it over here. I didn't want a knife project all the way through because we got some other stuff in there and that would just add unnecessary geometry. So let's get this. Mesh, knife project. And this time let's just get rid of those faces and then we can just copy and paste this. Let's get rid of the edge links. We don't need that anymore. Gather up all our faces. And do the same thing over here. Can just go in with Control Shift click. Then we'll duplicate, Shift D to duplicate. I'll move these over here. And you know, we could just go 3D cursor and then put our 3D cursor in the center, which is going to be these X at 0. And then we can just go into vertices mode and mirror vertices across the X-axis, just like that. And then we can hit A, mesh, cleanup, merge by distance. That seemed like a lot. 0.01 for our merge distance. There we go. Actually, we don't need to do that because auto merge was on, so they should already be attached, right? Let's see. Yeah, they're already on there. Okay, that's enough for that. And let's make a simple iron sight just up here. It doesn't show on the reference, but if we have a foresight, we should have a rear sight. So I'm going to collect these guys and get rid of these in our selection. And that should be even, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, yeah. Okay, subdivide. And let's drag this guy back over here. Got snap on, so it's a little awkward. And maybe instead of all the way back there, we'll put the other side over here-ish. Like so. And then we'll just take these and hit E to extrude, and then Z twice to get it up. And let's flatten this with SZ, and then numpad 0, and that went to the 3D cursor. Which is fine. We'll just drag it back up. And let's say this area will be cleared out for our site. Let's just get rid of these two, and then we'll subdivide these edges to create that, and then we'll get some faces over here. And then let's extrude these upward and get an edge between those. So face in there, and there, there, there. Are these already in there? No. It is an illusion. And maybe these can be a little higher. Yep. A little higher. Around there. That should be okay. Alright, so that should do it for those two. Alright, so we got a number of parts printed, and I'm pretty happy with how they're setting up. I think the scale overall is going to be a little smaller than what I was looking for, but I don't think it'll be too bad. Some things that I do need to fix is the spring is a bit fragile, so I want to thicken this up a bit. Let's see how exactly I would want to do that. So I think, I don't know if there's an easier way to click only part of this. Let's see if we can split these up by removing, say, this face, and maybe one more face over here. And hopefully I will remember to undo that. Yeah, there we go. Now we just got one side. Now I'm just going to deselect these guys, and I'll hit G, Y to grab and oop. Guess we need this one too. And this one. And then we can G, Y and pull it apart a little bit just to give that some more thickness, some more strength. And then I'd also want to put like a flat face over here to push the shotgun shell so it doesn't get stuck in this kind of screw pattern. So let's see. Let's hide the barrel. I think the size is just fine. Oh, and I also want to enlarge this side a bit because after printing it is a little small. So let's just do that immediately before I forget. Let's take this and extend it a bit. That should be fine. So we got that. Let's give that flat face. So we need to put our face back on here. And also that face back here before we forget again. There we go. Face there. Alright, and now let's work on a face. I'm thinking we can use the spiral pattern for this face. Try to get these guys over here. We'll circle select C, and we'll go around, and I guess get all of them. Like so, and then we'll Shift D to duplicate, GY to pull it a bit ahead, and then we'll use SY0 to flatten it into a circle like that. And then we can stick our circle with snap on, and you got auto merge on as well. Then I'm thinking, maybe we can like snap that over here. Let me see. Guess we wouldn't need these faces then. Get rid of that. And then we'd go up. CE to extrude and then snap it over here. Then we'd have that bit. And this will be flat, but we could still use this. It's E to extrude. Well, we probably just stretch it out. So SY0, and then we'll go ahead and snap that over here, and we could seal that up. And then let's put face on this area here, just to give that flat area some strength. Oop. Oh, actually, we better do this one at a time. Alright. So clicking on these two and hitting F to put in a face. And then that'll hold that, more or less. And this all will be another face, right? And then we could take this outer circle and drag it out, and this will be the flat face there. That way, hopefully the shell won't get around this and get stuck or something. Alright, and we got that. And also, for the pump, I was having a little trouble getting this bit into this tight little squeeze in there, so I think we can just drag it up. I'm going to try that. I'm not sure why I put it all the way back in there, but it's hard to get back in here, so let's see. I think we can just drag the whole thing. Let me get this orientation and just grab all of it. I'll grab this. Grab these. These. And all of these. And hopefully that's all. Let's just move it forward just for ease of access there. And with that done, I think we'll probably also have to shorten the spring. Maybe. Let's check on that. You know what? We'll just keep it the same for now and test the print. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to do for right now. Another little update. I found that the breech door couldn't actually fit too well in here, so we're gonna have to push this face back a bit to give it some room. But otherwise, things are coming together pretty well, I think. Let's get these. Depends on how far back we need to go, really. Let's get our edge links, because it's not a lot of space that we need. Let's see. GY. And 15. Let's give ourselves maybe 10 millimeters. It's not huge, but maybe that'll be enough. And let's pull these up a bit now that we lost some space there. I think everything else should be good. Wonder if I should pull this back. I think that doesn't actually matter. Another thing, this site is way too small. The whole thing feels a little smaller than I'd like, but this area especially. So let's widen this up a bit by including some more edges. Let's subdivide those guys twice, and then we'll bring these edges back. GY, snap here. Oh. GY, snap here. And then we'll get rid of these faces. Add those in. Seal those holes back up. And I think we can widen this by that much. Maybe even a little more. And then you know what, let's just fill this space back in. Actually, let's take a note of how long that is. 4 millimeters. Because that wasn't tall enough before. And let's bridge those edge loops. We can bridge these edge loops. That one. Bridge those edge loops. And then we'll take these outer two. And those will go up. Let's see, SZ0. Flatten those out and bring it down to, that should be fine. And then we'll do similarly with these. Let's get rid of these edges here. Subdivide those. Bring this down to this level. And so we'll go ahead and get rid of that. Extrude the, well, you can just duplicate these, snap them up here. And actually, I don't even think we need these. We can just create a face out of these, like so. And then we got this face. Don't want that. That's gonna take them all. So face here. Face there. Face there. Oop. Period. Zoom back in where we were. Face there. Face there. And face there. So now we have a bit more substantial sight. And we did that. Is there anything else I wanted to do? There's actually a bit of an issue with the paddle. Not a huge issue, but it was a bit loose for the steel rod. So let's find where that is. What was that attached to? This guy. Okay, so this hole was a bit wide, so it needs to be the same width as one of these. This one looks cleaner. So 3.7. So let's take X-ray, get all these guys, and then use medium point, right? Then scale, and then Shift X. That way we're only scaling along the X, the Y, and the Z. And we actually need to know how wide that is first. Point there. Yeah, that's way too wide. Scaling down, Shift X, and then 3.7. There, that should do it. Now with that done, it does occur to me that we could potentially flatten this a bit. That might let us make our shell a little larger because it's kind of small. So let's, with all that selected, let's hit Y, right, SY0, flatten that out, right? Yeah. Now let's move this in a bit. Let's say that's 0.5-ish. So that'd give us a tiny increase at best, though. See, if that's 0.5, this is, we can enlarge it by like 1 millimeter. Not much, but it's something. Where's our shell? And let's scale this guy up. 19.7. That's something. It's a something. Alright, so that's all I got for this one. One other little error I noticed was this existed, and we don't need that. It actually just broke off inside, but this should just be a little area for the trigger. Just thinking if I could do anything here. 7.5. How wide is this? 6.2. I noticed that was a little thin, like the spring had a little trouble fitting in there, and that's probably why. It needs to be 7 millimeters wide. So let's get these. So go ahead and stretch those out. Scale and then Shift Z, so we're just going along the X and the Y. 7.5. That crossover? Nah, that looks... Well, did a little bit over here. We can just stretch that out a little bit. That's okay. And, since we're printing that way, my usual technique won't really work too well over there. That is bothering me. Just gonna push that back into place. That should be fine. And then the breech also had a similar issue. Where are you? Breech ramp. Right. Yeah, this little guy also needs to be pulled out some, since it is also 6.9, not a huge difference, but it is the difference between the spring fitting in easily and not so much. So there we go. Alright, so those should be good. Yeah, for now, that is it. Alright, so after printing most of it, I ran into one additional problem that needs to be fixed, and that had to do with the loading ramp. That was that little piece. We don't need to worry about that right now. But let's get our main frame. Just put that down here, overlapping there, and then our steel rod. Where is that? This one, but it's part of the pump. Let's see. Let's unhide that one. So basically what was happening is the steel rod is bumping into... Let's put this over here. We can hide that. They're bumping into each other here, which is the steel rod's actually a little higher because we did make clearance, but when we try to put in a round, it bumps into it, as you can see. So basically we just need to slice this side off. And also the spring and shell is having a bit of trouble going over here. I think we need to smooth out this ramp a bit more so it's a little less angular, because the shell really doesn't need to rest up here behind the breech door. That's not important, really. So, first off, let me see. How do we want to divvy this up? So I think all of this needs to come off, unfortunately. So I'm thinking Maybe we can get a square here. Let's see, Shift A, mesh plane. Let's do 30 millimeters, rotate on the Y, 90 degrees. And I'm thinking of maybe slicing it around here, because I'd like to keep the thickness of this pivot point here. That way the um, the breech ramp doesn't like jiggle inside of the main frame. So I'm thinking we can mesh. Oh no, no. We can edit mesh and then knife project and cut through here. And then using this, we can cut down on, freak. This is gonna get in the way. Hmm. Okay, let's get the main back up so we can line up where exactly this steel rod is, so we can try to avoid it. Where are you? There we go. Alright, so steel rod going to be, let's turn off snap, it's going to be right about here. And that, let's see, hide the main again. It's going to put it, actually it's just off to the side, which is very good. So we won't have to mess with that slot for our spring slot there, at the very least. Alright, that being the case, let's create a little space between these two. Are you hidden? No, just not solid. Okay, that's fine. Let's edit mode these two. And why do we have that? E, right click GX, and let's snap you over here. We got 2 millimeters, so that's good. Let's put it down to 1. Right, it's 2 millimeters, extends out from there, so that should be plenty of room. I'm gonna put this just above here, and then we'll subdivide here and go to 1 millimeter, which will be here. That way this still has a bit of a wall. And then we will slice down there. It's F3, cursor to active, Shift A, plane. Let's rotate it along the Y this time. Then we'll come down here, just draw it back, and then we'll do a knife project. Let's hit P, separate selection, edit mode for a breach, right click on our slicer, mesh, knife project, cut through. So now we can basically get rid of everything on this side. Right clicking, deleting. And this is our slice. So don't want to mess with you. You're okay. And we'll get rid of these. And I guess we can keep those. There, let's get rid of these edges. This guy is now just floating, so we'll hit I on that. or L on that. I can't even remember right now. And then we will get this guy over here. Well, actually, over here. We'll put a face on this. And also put a face over here. Oh my gosh. Okay. Period. Zoom in on what we're doing. I'll just manually click on these guys. Face. Face. That should allow it to move up and down without that problem anymore, right? Eh, 3D cursor. That shouldn't bump into that anywhere. Alright, so that should be golden. Now, we gotta work on kind of smoothing this out a bit. And that's the thing I'm not entirely sure how I want to do, due to it being all curves. And we also need to work on the spring. I noticed the parts of it tend to get caught up around here. So I'm not sure how to do that either. That is a problem for after this, though. So how do we want to smooth this out? Hmm. I'm thinking, what if we created a cylinder? It's entirely experimental, but let's see if we can get this to work for us. How wide is this? Thinking if we make a cylinder and shape it, maybe we can use Boolean to kind of cut out a better chunk for this to actually work properly. So right now, I think there's just too many angles here. It needs to be smoother. So maybe get rid of this, or maybe even keep that. Let's see. Switch pivot to medium point and try to angle this out to match this guy's diameter, original diameter. This. Then I was thinking, can make something smoother, like so. And then extruding again, and then rotating, let's say one of these outer vertices. Let's go to active element as our pivot point now. And start rotating it out. Take that out 15. Let's get it up to 45. So that was 15, 30 more. And then we'll do another rotation along the z-axis, 45. So we're popping out at that point. And then maybe we can try beveling to help smooth out any transitions. Bum, bum. Create another point in here by collecting those, subdivide, and we just want this. Add a little rounder. Man, this is gonna be hideous. Ugh, I can't currently think of a better way to do this. Let's pull this back some. Actually, I don't think it matters if we use it. Let's check the main. Yeah, so we do have a little room there. GY, pull that back, because we want it to slip out this breach. And we can extend this. E. Ah, crap. Auto merge is on. Hopefully that didn't merge into anything. Doesn't look like it. Okay, we're fine. Oof. That was alarming. And we can try to bevel these edges here. I guess those are too close together. I feel like that's going to be a little too sharp in there. At least bevel that. That'll at least give us something a little smoother. It's smoother of a ramp. Might have to manually smooth these out, unfortunately. So let's get rid of these edges then. And click. Oh, I'll get this one as our active. And we're still on active as our pivot point, so we'll hit extrude and rotate along the Z. Why is that not acting as our active? It should be the one, right? Rotate along the Z, there we go. Along the Z again. Then we can bridge these edge loops. So at least that's a bit rounder. This is also way sharp. Let's try to bevel that some. Ugh. Let's go ahead and separate this into its own thing. P, separate selection. Hit A to select all, Shift N to recalculate those normals. And we should probably round this out as well. Let's get rid of these edges in our selection. Okay, there's some overlap there, so I'm going to use mesh, cleanup, merge by distance. I should get rid of that. And get these faces again. Get rid of these edge loops. There we go. And X, delete edges. And make this our active. E to extrude, rotate along the Z-axis. 15. E, rotate along the Z-axis. 15 more. more, and then E, rotate Z-axis. Okay, for some reason we're going diagonal here. This one did. Let's rotate 15, E again, rotate Z, 15. That should close that up. So let's merge that again, and again, recalculate those normals. Hmm. Hmm. Now, if I do this, I should probably raise this entire floor up so it can better cut through all this stuff. Is it coming out of the side? Oh boy. So we can median point, shrink this a bit. It doesn't work well. Could do is maybe move it off to the side just a touch. Till it's not clipping through these walls. Help. Alright, so let's get all of these faces here that are likely going to be hit by this. Ugh. Here, and then we're going to move everything up. Well, actually, don't touch these. Well, Okay, I'm going to try to extrude upward. And it's creating some weirdness. It's just such an awkward shape that I made. I don't really want to touch that too much. Okay, I guess we won't do anything with that. Wait, do we even need that for anything? Or is it just a survivor? Oh, right. Gotta worry about that. Ugh. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna pull this up and see what happens. Alright, so now we should have more for our tube shape to cut through. Oh yeah, there you go. Let's extend this outward. Ugh. I have no idea how well this is going to work, but let's see. Add modifier, generate boolean, and we will use our weird rampy tube thing as our target, and let's see if we can divide this up. So what I want is for this tube to be cut out of our breech, which is why I lifted it up like that. Oh my gosh. I think this actually has to go back to cover that. Let's bring this back over here. Has at least a little wiggle room in there. But then this, actually, I don't think that'll interfere. Okay. I don't use Boolean too much, so I don't remember which one we have to work with here. We don't want union. Intersect. Seems to have just deleted that. Or did we need to use this one? Generate Boolean difference. Maybe that was what we were looking for. It's hard to tell. So this doesn't look like it's doing anything. Why is there a line just sticking out here? Maybe a measurement line there? Okay, let's try to apply. That didn't do anything as far as I'm aware. Well, it did give us a place to cut out. Very, very awkwardly. Did it make it inside? No, doesn't look like it. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Control Z. Maybe union? I did put it in there. Now we could manually cut it out. I'd rather not. Might be what we have to do. This. It didn't create anything on the inside, which is a problem. Okay, that is not what I wanted to do. See if this has any luck. That created nothing. Okay, so then let's try the other side of things. Apply difference, did nothing of use. Did it make any geometry inside? It did not, as far as I can tell. Intersect. Let's see if this does it. Well, I mean, it created the ramp, but everything else got erased. Can we use that? We might have to just start over on this ramp bit, though. I am not seeing a decent way out of that. Control Z, Control Z. Undoing everything. Still want that. Boy. Hmm. This is a bit of a frustrating conundrum here. I'm probably going to have to think on this for a bit more. I'm sure it's not going to be interesting to watch. Alright, so after some consideration, it occurs to me that I may just have to start this part a little bit over. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and delete most of this. Actually, we might not. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. And I guess we'll keep that up there just for measurement purposes. And maybe this as well. Everything else is about to go. Alright. So after getting rid of all that, wait, let me see, we may need that for measurement as well. So after getting rid of all that, let's go ahead and join these two pieces with Control J. And then I'm going to bring you down around here-ish. I wonder. If we at all could, let's Control Z that, because I kind of want to use this lip. We brought it back down here. Hit period, get back to where I was. Bring this down here, back where it was. We can maybe just pull this back a ways just to make it a little more rounded. Get a little easier for our shell to climb up this ramp. What is this? Why are you like that? Ah, that's why, because I had that guy selected. Alright, so back to that. It doesn't need to be perfectly round, it just needs to guide our shell upward to this exit. Then I'm thinking maybe get rid of most of this. Where was this before? Let's check the main for reference. And... Let's get that back down there. No, it clearly wasn't all the way over there. But we do need this curve to be kind of high. But I'm actually going to redo this curve anyway. So... maybe... get rid of all this. And that'll mostly be for reference. And then we're going to take this guy, move him on back. I think that would create for a smoother transition. I feel like from here, maybe we should get rid of... kind of lost that bit there. We'll just duplicate this piece. Let's snap it over here. And then with active as our pivot point, we'll just rotate it back up. That should be okay. Then from there, I'm thinking maybe we get rid of all these. And then we can make a bridge between these two. That's not very good. I think we gotta cut off like this portion. Maybe one more. Still not coming in as well as I had hoped. Alright, so we have 18 vertices selected. Over here we have 19, so if we just get rid of that one, that should be a bridge loop, right? But then it's doing this for some reason. They might be duplicates in there. Let's clean. Okay, that's cleaned up. Let's check that again. 17. So I was right, there was 2 missing. Needed to be missing from over here. And let's get those in edge mode, bridge those edge loops. There we go. Much cleaner. Still I'm thinking the shell's coming in from here. Should we even have a curve, or should we keep it a ramp? I'm kind of liking the curve idea. So we need something to pick it up. But once it's picked up, I don't think we need much of a curve. So let's go ahead and bevel that. Okay. And then this is not quite at the height we need, though, is it? It needs to be more like up here in order for it to pop out there. Or does it? And then we can go back a bit. Then we can bevel this a bit smoother of a ride. And then we can start turning it. Thinking from here, this wall needs to go upward. Around here-ish? Now I'm a bit worried. If we're that high, that early, then when we push this up, it's going to bump into the roof there. So maybe half or so. Let's see, that's clearing. And that's what we need. Alright, so that'll be our height. And just smooth this out a bit. Let's bring these up as well. And it doesn't have to be. But for what's coming next, so now from here, I was thinking we use our active element as our pivot point, and then we start turning gently. Say 15 degrees. Oops. E, rotating along the z-axis, another 15 degrees. E, rotating z-axis, another 15 degrees. E, right click, rotate, R to rotate, Z, degrees, and we'll do this until we get a 90-degree turn in there. Hopefully that'll be enough to encourage our shell to pop out. So that should be right on that line, which it is. Okay. And I guess these can actually go down a little. We can snap that back here. Snap these back here. Now I'm a little worried if it's gonna clip into this wall since it's rounded. Let's take a look, see. 3D cursor as our pivot point. Let's turn off X-ray mode. Yeah, see, it's clipping over there. So I guess we might have to lower this wall. Maybe we can use proportional editing. Try to make it a little smoother. Don't want to interact with those bottom ones. That's enough. Just to make a rounded path. The shell can't get through here. It can only go that way. Ideally, that's what we're going for. I think that's about what we got going. I'm thinking how am I gonna close up this face though? It's not a very attractive shape. Do we even need this back here? What is this even for? Let's turn off proportional editing. Snap this guy over here with auto merge on. Let's snap these along this line. And don't feel like we even need this. That. Or even this curve, really. Back here. straighten this out. Let's go back to medium point for our pivot point. SZ0 to flatten those out. I mean, to make this transition a bit easier, we could even stretch this out some. Let's see, let's get one of these as our active point, hit S, and then Y. Oh. Development, S, Y. There we go. And it should exit out here, ideally. Kind of worried that it's gonna end up getting stuck in this space, so maybe that's not the greatest idea. Let's take it back just a little bit. Maybe more something like that. And then I already forgot, is it clipping? Oh. Excuse me. Looks like there's decent amount of room over there, so clipping shouldn't be a problem. What is this? Doesn't look lined up. It is though. I think this was a measurement at some point. How can we seal this face? These. And then who's left on this line? I think this one. Oh. Look at that guy. Nice flat face here. Then we just gotta worry about all this other stuff. I mean, this stuff I don't even think matters all that much. I feel like we need to do something with it though. Before we start fiddling with that, there's a lot of vertices here. Let's go ahead and right click and dissolve those just to simplify our problem. Dissolve. I mean, we could just do this. Just slap it on there. It's not going to look pretty, but I don't think it really needs to. Place their straight angles. I feel like this could be beveled. This doesn't even seem to have a purpose anymore, so I'm going to merge that. Well, I guess we don't want to merge that one. Just to straighten these out. Pop that over there. It's probably okay. Alright, so now let's work on closing up this face. Here, everything's on a line here. And this needs to go forward. And this needs to go along here. Let's just subdivide that, and with Shift V, can move along this edge. Let's move that a little further forward so we can intersect them. And let's just manually get as close as we can here. And then we can, this as our active, GY, and we'll just snap that guy on there. And then we should be able to close this up. That should be fine. Wait, where's our steel bar again? Steel rod. Now, if this thing is moving like this, yeah, that shouldn't interfere. Okay, that's what that was for. That's the steel bar over here. So why do we have this? Oh, I think that's for the paddle. Let's get the paddle out here too then to make sure we're not going to bump into it. Paddle. And this one's in parts. And you're also rotated. Awesome. Whoop. 90 degrees. Set exactly where you're supposed to be. It does appear so. So yeah, that's what that's for. Let's make sure extruding GX have 0.5 millimeters of space between those two, which should be okay. Since this is just going to be moving backwards and forward. So it should slide along there pretty perfectly. Actually, I kind of want to bevel this just in case. As they're moving backwards and forward, don't want these sharp edges like clicking into each other. So if this was beveled, even a bit, if they did clap on those corners, it should just slide right off of it. Same for you. Now let's go ahead and bevel that. I think we should actually seal this up first. Why did we? Oh yeah, because of this. That's why we got this protrusion here. Okay, I'm gonna fill this in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's get 7 subdivisions, and then we'll seal these up. I'm not going to worry about that too much. Oops. Bridge these edge loops. And maybe we can subdivide this just a little bit more. Control Shift V, slide it along this edge. Take this, and I'm just going to snap it here. And there. Close up that. It's not the smoothest ramp, but that part doesn't really matter all that much. Is that it? Let's go ahead and hit A, Shift N to recalculate those normals. And I'm going to try to print this again. Oh, also the spring needs some attention. like the curly bits have a habit of like hooking on to what used to be a corner, isn't now, but these swirly bits tend to lock on to all this stuff, so my solution to that would be to shrink our spring. Set geometry. I'm going to try to get it right in the center. Oh, actually, we could just F3 cursor to active. That should be center. Then I'm thinking all these bits can be shrunk a little. Kind of an ugly way to do it. I don't even know if this is going to work well. Let's get all these, but let's not get these. And then let's scale down, but Shift Y, so we're just going along the X and Z axes. Then we'll shrink this guy down. Hopefully not detrimentally ruining the spring. I kind of want to make an extended shroud. And by that, I mean getting these bits and stretching them back a bit to maybe here. Hmm. Um, Trying to see if that would even make a difference. Difficult to say. Maybe shrinking it would be enough. But how can we keep things from hooking onto each other? You know what? We'll go ahead and try to print this just to see if we can do anything with it. Let's get rid of that. So we got this guy that's new and our spring that's been changed a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and reprint these and see if that got it. Alright, so I'm still having some trouble getting the shell to eject out properly. So we're going to make a few modifications, one of which including modifying the shell by beveling this edge a bit in an effort to make it a little easier to slide up the breaching ramp. And then on top of that, actually I might want to change this around a little bit more. Let's grab all of this in X-ray mode, so I got the whole thing. I'm going to push it up a bit. And then I'm going to bevel it again. I think that's a little better. Maybe. Wait, and then this breaching ramp can be shortened a little bit over here. And we really got to do something about this area because it's just not happening the way I want it to. So let's get everything here. Mm, active element selected. Let's go ahead and get this and then scale it. Scale it along the y-axis. And it can actually come in a good little bit. Yeah, because it really doesn't need to be this long. And we need some more room for the round to actually twist up, because right now, as the shell is going up the ramp, that upper rim of it is banging into the roof, so it doesn't really have the room to pivot and get flat and then get out. It's just getting stuck like right here. So, let's scale on the Y to get rid of a lot of this. Let's see, because I measured it was 12 over about 70. So we can take as much as 10 or so millimeters off, and it should still snap on this lip. And another thing that might help is to put a lip on the inside that matches this one inside of this barrel. So let's see. Let's hide some of these things so they're not in our way here. Oh, that's not awesome. These are a bit different. Well, guess it won't interfere that much. To get rid of the need to jump onto this lip, let's take a couple of these edges. I think that's more or less even. And we'll get rid of these. Don't need these ends. Oh boy. Oh boy. So with this being the way it is, it might not work too well. It definitely isn't going to be terribly clean. Oh, we get rid of those, and then we can subdivide, say, twice. You decided not to subdivide, huh? Let's get this edge too. That's the one. And then subdivide. Did you subdivide? You didn't subdivide here. Ah, jeez. Okay. Guess we're going in manual here. What? Did I not select those? I selected all of these. Except for that. Subdivide. Let's get rid of our edge links. There. And we actually wanted to subdivide twice. Okay. Alright, now, first off, let's straighten these out. So S, Y, 0. And you also SY0. And we're going to push this one over to around here, a little bit in front so they don't actually hit each other. Um, hmm. I'm worried that this little rib here is going to get stuck in between these two bits. I'm not entirely sure how I would fix that at the moment. So let's put our 3D cursor right in the center, and then we will extrude, scale towards the 3D cursor, and Shift Y to exclude that from this measurement here. And can't see because the reference is in the way. Let's move that out of the way, hiding it. And let's hide all of that. And the goal is to even these up a bit. Shift Y. Like that. So we have this continuous feed. Hopefully, shotgun round won't get stuck. And then we have our first chunk of the barrel. This will be the under barrel, right? This part coming in here. Let's get these faces. And make sure that these don't end up bumping into each other. So we can take this back a little bit. Take it back here. So I don't think there's anything really stopping this from going deeper. So we'll just put it here. Let's go ahead and shrink this a little bit as well to match this guy a bit more closely. This one. And we need it to match that. S, Shift, Y. More or less like this. Where we have a minimal amount, and when we glue it all together, this should be pressed pretty flush together. So hopefully that won't be an issue anymore. Now I think the biggest problem is this area. It needs to be a bit more gradual. We have so little room in here. I wonder how we're going to do this. Can maybe take all of this and get one of these as our active. And we'll try to scale it on Y and push it back a ways. Hopefully it gets a bit more room to situate itself. If feel like we'll need to do more, but I'm not entirely sure what. Because it just keeps getting stuck up here without actually being able to turn that effectively. Maybe if we were able to rise, put the wall a little higher up here so that curve can get all the way back. But if we do that, whoop. So this only needs to open about so big. And it looks like it does have more than a little room, so maybe we can lift this up a little bit more. We can raise that a bit. You know what? Let's make this into a thing. So insert keyframe. I go up 12 frames. Maybe that far back. Insert keyframe. So now we got this going on. And so let's try to raise this up to see if it's going to get in the way. It seems alright still. I'll lift this up as well. Kind of smooth out that transition. More or less. Ugh. Ugly, but maybe it'll work. I sure hope so. I guess we'll have to give this a shot, see if all these adjustments actually do anything. Alright, we are back at it again with the M37 from RE7, and we're still having some trouble with this, where is it, my breach ramp? Where are you, where are you, where are you? Oop. Still having trouble with this guy. The shell is still just getting stuck. And I think rather than trying to flatten out here, I think we should just start the turn down here underneath, so when it's up here, it's already kind of diagonal. I think that might be the issue, or maybe it'll help with it. Really not sure at this point. So we're going to go ahead and try this some more. So the first thing I'm thinking, we'll make a deeper curve here. But if we do a deeper curve, then the shell might just flip over as it's getting out. There just isn't a ton of room to play around with in here. Let me check something. That's also a problem, because even if we put like a little roof to keep the shell at the proper angle, that roof is going to bang into the top. Because right now it's just getting stuck, bumping onto the roof here. It's not turning. So we got to start that turn earlier. So, to get that going, let's get these vertices here. And then we will use proportional editing. Try to move this downward. Don't want to touch that endpoint. So I'm rolling up and down on the mouse to get the proportional editing more where I want it. This should stay up here. We'll have to move that back whenever we're done with what we're doing here. Try to move this. I want to just straighten that up a bit. SY numpad 0. My mouse is on a slant because of this thing. The keyboard's on my lap, so it's sliding a little bit. So SY 0. Put that straight. SY 0. 0. 0. You know, it might be better just to start all this over again. Let's just get rid of all of that there. And from here, let's even this out to give it a bit of a landing. Round can start here and slowly start making its way up. Guess we can curve it. And then it needs to start curving outward, I think. I'll clean that up a little bit later. So 15 degrees. Wait. What was this one? Yeah, that was 15 degrees. And degrees. Let's turn on this axis as well. Wonder if we should. Let's get that as our active. Rotate at 15 degrees. And the Z. Want this one down here-ish. And then this one can be a bit more over here. Let's rotate 15 degrees. Don't want to shock it too much. Another 15 degrees. But that's a bit too high now. So let's go back and get our main up. Let's shrink this. Oop. And yeah, it's way too high. So from here, I don't want to hide that. I'll switch this over. Get this over here. This here. And then we'll get this guy. Put it over here. This guy over here. And here's a 3D cursor since we got it down there. And yeah, well, it might get by, but I think this still needs to be a lower. Because we want it already kind of trying to project out down here. So let's move these little bits around some more. Let's go back to, let's do medium. Just try to give it a relatively smooth track. And let's pull you down some. A little bit more. And something a bit more like that. So really got to encourage it to step out. Hmm. Feel like this could be deeper. We can create more of a wall over here to make sure it stays on track. So in order to do that, I think maybe, could just take these and pull them up a bit. Give it more of a barrier so it'll stay rather than flipping over. Let's extrude from there. Go back to our active and get 15 more degrees. Turn. And I'm really worried it's just going to flop back over. I mean, we can try this. Let's see. All right, so now we gotta clean it up. So, this, let's go back here, and we can just snap that somewhere on there. Wait. Smooth that out. Guess we need to get rid of that. Let's subdivide here, and get rid of these, and unfortunately these as well. And then we can subdivide here. And is this going to be... Why did we need that again? Oh yeah, because this bit... could just bring this back. Okay. Let's bring that up to this area. Then we'll bring this up here. Let's snap it along that area. Then you can go and snap there. And then you two Can make a face there. Shouldn't be too bad. And we can create... Hmm. Hmm. Do we need to straighten this out, or is this fine? I guess we should. Let's use this as our active, and we'll hit S, X, 0. I'll snap it along that line. And then we need these also. S, X, 0. With that as our active, and I guess this one too. S, X, 0. Wait, this is our active, so S, X, 0. That is not going the way as planned. You are active. SX0, there you go. There you go. Okay, so those are all flat now. That means we don't really need that, don't need that. Okay, that's kind of a weird face. I can snap you over here. That should be fine. That should be fine. And I guess we should snap all of these to 0 too. SX0. Well, let's extrude. Oh, not you guys. Just, I think here. Let's make this our active. E to extrude, then right click, SX0. Got that going. Let's get our active element back here. And it's about as tall as we are going to be able to get. That's going to be rounded enough. Like the idea of it getting stopped right there. I think that's too harsh of a stop. Maybe even this is too harsh of a stop. You can get rid of those. And let's get rid of that. And maybe even get rid of all this. I want to use those. We're gonna close all this up. It's such awkward geometry. That one's fine. And that. Didn't want to do that. Boop. Maybe this one too. Wonder if we could continue it. Let's extrude E. And get another 15. And come on, stop taking away my active. Another 15, well, 25. SX0, straighten that back out. Loves changing my active. There. Get it a little cozier, maybe. Then maybe we can do something like this. No. Don't want as harsh a bumper. So maybe something like this. Oh. Maybe this can come up some. Okay, I don't want you. Let's dissolve that edge. Pull this in some. We can sure give this a try. I'm gonna close this up. These seem to be on the same edge. What is this? Just kind of chilling there, huh? Okay, so we will subdivide this one and put it around here, because this should all be one face. That should do all right. That's the rest of it we gotta worry about. That's not the cleanest geometry, but honestly, this is gonna be inside of the thing, so it's not really gonna matter. You guys, you can. That doesn't matter. Seal up all that. I gotta try to seal this up. There's some mess here. Nah. Let's extrude back here. This. That is not pretty. But we didn't design it to be pretty. We designed it to be functional. We can subdivide awkwardly over here. Oh, that's not good. All those are on the same line, right? Yeah. So we can seal that up. Okay. I feel like this can be smoothed out a bit. Let's use our proportional editing. Oops. H, G. Zoom in a little bit. Smooth that out. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's merge you. Wait. You're over here, actually. Get back proportional editing. Only you. And maybe that'll be enough of a track. Ugh. I don't like this. I don't like the sudden stop that it looks like it's gonna give my shell. But it also needs to hold it from making any other weird maneuvers. Maybe we should lower this. Make the track a little smoother. Hopefully that will guide our shell the way we want. Let's make sure it's at the right height. See, 3D cursor is our pivot point. It shouldn't bump into the roof. It can in fact be a bit taller, which I think might be good. Let's turn on proportional editing, remove snap. Poop. We need to be 3D cursor to active with F3. Let's see, it doesn't seem like it's going to hit the roof, so I'm going to reprint this and see if that does it at long last. Alright, I do believe we're almost there. We're getting the right kind of movement. The problem is the shell itself can't really fit through the breach. It's getting stuck up here, so I need to widen this a bit more. I didn't want to because I didn't want to print the whole thing again, but it seems that's going to be unavoidable. So let's see. We need you. Do we have our breach cutter? Let's see. Under barrel cutter. No, that's not what we want. Okay, so we need this edge loop up here. Let's just go vertice mode. Um, about there, just the outer part of it there. Let's get this one. And I think that's one too far. Then we'll Shift D to duplicate that. Oops. Uh, didn't auto merge. Oh, proportional editing is on. Need that off. Okay, so essentially what we're going to want to do, so let's get median point, turn a bit, then we want to cut into almost fully half of this bit. Let's set it right here. With snap on, with that as our active, let's use that as our point. And we'll take these endpoints, extend them out. So when we do cut, it'll go all the way to that bit there. So let's separate this. I'll probably have to do this twice because I don't want to cut all the way through. But with this in the main frame and edit mode, we'll try to control left click on that. Then we'll use knife project through here. It's about what we wanted. Skip this. Keep that. And this. And get rid of that. And then might want to hide this whole area so we can knife project again. We'll just hit H with all those selected. Now we need to cut through the second layer here. So edit mode, control left click, upward orientation, mesh, knife project once more. And let's go ahead and clear this out. Oh, that's nice. Actually, we'll get most of it. Yeah, I think up to that. Not these guys. But that one. Okay, delete that. And bring everything back with Alt H. And we don't need these edges. And we don't need these. Excuse me. And hopefully we'll be able to select, well, I guess not all of them. These. And these. Okay, get those. And then we will, actually, let's include those as well. We'll bridge these edge loops. And that will hopefully give the shell a bit more room to escape. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get this printed. Right, it does appear that our last bit of editing finally got the shell to exit appropriately, the way we wanted to. So there are a few other things I found that I should fix before continuing, and that would have to do with the barrel, or at least the underbarrel. Where are you? Let's minimize that. Get our underbarrel. Oh, those back. Biggest thing is I want to thicken this up considerably. So right now these little prongs seem like they will snap off a little too easily. So how we're gonna do that is, mm, 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 maybe what we're gonna do is Control J to join these back up, and then can move this. Well, I guess we can move all of this back over here. And we can merge by distance all those bits and pieces that we had in there. And then I want to create a much wider point. So let's create a plane. Oop. So F3. Oh, let's get you over here. F3, cursor to active. We got rid of that plane. Okay. Shift A, mesh plane, and we'll rotate it twice to get a nice flat area here. We'll scale her down. And let's get this over here. Let's bring it out with GX. And I'm thinking maybe extend this a bit. Then we can go ahead and make another one. Let's get edge links on. I want to scale this down to this size. So with this one in red, and I'm going to shift click over on this one and then Control A, scale. That way they share the same scale. So then, come on, have those two, and those seem to have auto-merged, even though auto-merge is not on. Leading, let's just go ahead and put a point up here. And then we can Shift A. I'm going to shrink this along the y-axis, 0.5. Actually, yeah, shrink one of them. GY, and then we gotta go down 0.5, so that would be 14.6. And take this one, shrink it down. Let's turn off snap. 12.2 needs to be 11.7. And then this one needs to go up and make that 11.2. We will have a bit thicker of a locking mechanism. That will hopefully be considerably more durable. Let's subdivide this and then get this guy in the center. which is, I guess, around here. Let's turn snap back on. Is that the center? Set origin to geometry. No, that's not going to do it. Let's find our center point. Maybe over here. And it looks like this is it. So I'll just make an edge there. Highlight that in edit mode, cursor to active. F3, cursor to active. Why? Okay. And with cursor to active there, we can now get that vertice and try to match it along here with GZ. And that should be center now. Okay, so I think we need to cut all the way through with one on one side. So let's actually separate these. And two things. In that case, let's pull this one up here, and then this one over here. Then there's this discrepancy here, which I'm pretty sure is 0.5 millimeters, which means if this were up a little bit, then that would be sealed. So I think we actually need to go down a little bit more over here. Let's see. Reduce this to 11.7, I think. How would we that over here? Okay, so we need to pull this one back a bit, otherwise we're not going to have anything to maneuver here. So okay. Let's separate that into parts, and then we'll take let's actually separate these back again. Then edit mode on that one, control left click on our bigger square. Then we can mesh, knife project, cut through. And then we can do the same over here with this other one. Smaller one, mesh, knife project, cut through. Okay, so that one we basically need to just extrude this face over to here, and that should already be done. And then for this one, we need to do some cutting out. So we'll take these. Remove those edges. And also remove these vertices. Let's get X-ray mode on. Get rid of all these in here. Hopefully that'll be at least a bit stronger. This is not going to be a very strong prop though. Now we could improve it maybe a little by extending this a bit. So it's 12.2. So 17.2. So then we need to increase the other one, 12 by 5 millimeters. 5, so 16.7. Start and snap off. 16.7. That should put it back where it needs to be. Hopefully that'll make it a bit stronger of a hold. Alright, let's get back to getting this all cut out. Oh, this actually shouldn't be too hard. Just fill in these. F, 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 F. Okay. And for good measure, let's recalculate those normals with Shift N. After hitting A, Shift N. Okay, those will hopefully make it a bit stronger. And also the spring is still quite weak. So I would like to thicken that up a little bit. We can hide these. Alright, I did shrink this down a bit. How do I want to do this? I guess we can take these sides. That one, get rid of that one. Let's get rid of these edge lengths. Just want the tops and bottoms. Because my springs snap around here. Excuse me. I wonder, probably not, but let's just see if this'll. Not really what I was going for. Alright, it looks like we might have to manually. Wait, maybe. No, there's too much stuff in the way. Oh well. Guess we just have to manually deselect. So we just want one side. Let's get rid of all this, and I didn't, actually we don't need that. We're getting rid of the top. Okay, let's make sure we got everybody we want. And then I think we might have to select these, because then I'm going to hit GY to drag these out a bit, make that a bit thicker. Hopefully that helps with the strength. I was also kind of wanted to make it thicker the other way as well. I don't know how well this is going to work, but let's see if we can get it. I'll just get these first. Just want to get the inner faces this time. I don't think we want to mess with this. Not that. Maybe those. These, and these, and these. Okay. Okay, it looks like we're golden. Alright, so still using the 3D cursor, which hopefully is in the center of this thing. It is not. Awesome. Let's put cursor to active. No. No. Cursor to active. Alright, now we can use the 3D cursor. And I'm just gonna scale with S and then Shift Y to exclude that axis and just pull everything in, making a thicker spring. Hopefully that will still allow for flex while also increasing durability. It's a little more. Okay, those are the two things I wanted to do this round. Hopefully this will do it. Hopefully this will do it. All right. Alright, further fiddling has led me to believe that some more redesigns are a necessity here. So, first thing I want to do is probably lower this, because right now the steel rod that goes through here and controls the breech door is kind of in the way. Where's the steel rod? Let's get that back. See, it is messing up our trajectory for our shot, and a lot of times our shell just gets caught in between here, and because of this, it's not really going anywhere. And the only thing I could really think to try to fix that is to lower it as much as possible. But there isn't a ton of room in which to do that, unfortunately. That's just gonna be in the way no matter what, it seems like. So what might need to happen is we might need to clear even more of this away. Poo. Alright, so in order to get that going, let's collect these vertices over here. Let's see which ones are going straight down. Think about here-ish. Then we can collect these over here. Then we can Shift D to duplicate those. Then I guess I'll pull it up here with G, X, clear out even more of this area, which I don't particularly want to do, but seems like that's what's going to need to happen anyway. Okay, and also for this, I feel like I need to get rid of this part. I feel like that's kind of blocking things a bit more than it is helping guide. So we'll just shrink that down. Maybe even more so. Let's pull that over there a bit. And honestly, this can come back some. Let's hide you. Let's take these, get our proportional editing, maybe pull her back a ways. Help. We can't really lower the steel bar any because there's nowhere to lower that. But, for that, where's our breech panel? It's hidden over there. And we could potentially move it off to the side a little bit more. So this would have to be altered, but that might help some. Let's see how far back we can take this. Let's take all this and then see how long this is. 1.6. So we should be able to take it a little. Let's turn off proportional editing. GX, and let's take it over. Oh, bumping into something? Oh, that doesn't matter. That's part of the other bit there, so that's okay. Let's take it over to 1. Actually, we gotta record how much that is. 1.64. If we took it off, 0.64, that's not gonna be a ton, but it might be just enough. We need a measuring point over here, so let's get that extruded and then snap it over to the wall, like so. And then we'll take this very messy hole and boop, get all these faces in face mode, and G, turn off snap, GX. This is just not gonna be easy for me. Alright. And it'll be over 1. out. Let's delete those edges. Then we can just create a new face. It's over there. It's ugly, but who's gonna know? And then we can try to move these also. Let's leave this here. And then GX to move that. What was it, 0.6? That's not going to be much. It does have a habit of distorting this area. Unfortunately. This build is such a hassle so far. And it's my fault. I just want to get all these nice, cool things going for us. And just everything seeming to be so compact is really making things difficult, I think, needlessly so. Kind of a hump in there, but should be okay. Doesn't seem too detrimental. Hmm. We moved it just a little bit. I don't know how much that's gonna help. Away. Should be more like this, right? And another thing I wanted to do was change these guys up again, because I don't, oh man. I was thinking about flipping these around just so this part is covered at all times, so you don't see those cuts, but honestly, I don't think it's going to matter that much. Since that magnet hole's there, I don't really want to mess with it and redo a bunch of stuff. So we'll just leave that as is. So we got that going. Kind of want to extend this outward a bit. Along with this guy. Just to help guide it on this curve. Maybe even a little more than that. As it needs to be charging out this direction. So far it's mostly trying to go up. Oh, also the spring is turning out way too long. So if you pump it, let's go in X-ray mode. Oh, barely see the spring. Oh, I go. Pump it back. It seems though. Oh, that's because spring is actually connected up here now. So with that much, and the spring, due to the thickness we put on it, doesn't really give. It's not really springy anymore. It's mostly just kind of flexing so it can go up that ramp. How do I want to shrink it though? Maybe we can take this area. Let's make one of these our active element, right? And then let's get rid of edge links. And I need to cut off maybe a third of it. So we're going to scale Y and then about here-ish. Let's put that where it should be, about here. Let's check if it pumps all the way back. That should reach far enough back, I think. Maybe still even too much, but we'll test and see. Now, with those modifications, it would be really nice if it actually worked. So I think I'm going to go ahead and test these out before I have to print the mainframe again. Just get this guy and the spring. Oh, but we have them. We'll see if these do it. All right, if not, then I'll just print the whole main thing again and try again. We'll see. All right, so I found some weakness in the spring because I'm having trouble printing it. And it looks like these areas can definitely use some alteration. So I want to thicken this area. And to do that, I'm going to take this in face mode and just drag it down. Let's get this in edge mode. Kind of smooth out these areas. Thicken up these connections. Let's bring this up. Thicken that area considerably. And then also on this side, we also have a similar looking area. So I'm going to drag these out. That way they are considerably stronger than what they are right now. We can pull this guy out some too. That should give it some strength. A little bit more over here, just to smooth it out. Hopefully that'll do it. Alright, we'll see. Alright, so the new spring seems to be working okay. It's still a little fragile. It depends on the print for some reason. It comes off a little bit, but that should be alright. There are some other things that I wanted to look into though. So one of those was I wanted to adjust our ramp some more. And it's doing its job, but I think it could be a little better. Because right now, the shell tends to want to get stuck in between these two parts. So I think I'm going to extend the ramp just a little bit to give it more of a guide out. So in order to do that, let's problem is it might end up interfering with our steel rod and other stuff, so we got to be kind of careful with this. First thing, I think I'll try to make that a little smoother with proportional editing on, and we'll just take this a little bit here, kind of push that inward, and then I was thinking instead of up here, let's subdivide this, bring this up here with snap, turn off proportional editing, get that up here, get rid of this edge, and I think this is about what we needed. I'm going to face, I want that one, face over here, and I want to extend this one out. So I'll put a face there and maybe give it a little bit more protrusion to help guide it just that little bit more. And I don't want it interfering with the steel rod at all, or the breech door, so I think that's about as far as we're going to be able to get it. I don't know if I can extend it further and not have to worry about this bit anymore. I forget why we needed that. I think it was just because we have this, and that's almost entirely all. Because this gap here was for the steel rod. So if we do add this, let me check that breech paddle. Yeah, it shouldn't interfere. It really shouldn't. Let me check. Just use this measurement here. See where that is. Edge links. 0.6. There should be enough room. I don't want to cause any friction though. So maybe we can take it out to this point. Let's see. Let's get rid of this edge. Then let's take all of this minus these two. And let's get the rest of this. And we'll switch Shift D to duplicate. Then I'm gonna pop this over here and hope I'm not screwing anything up. Let's close that face. I think we can get this entire area. And all these. And this. And hopefully we'll be able to bridge edge loops and everything will be fine. It's a little awkward actually. Why? Why you know bridge? Let's hide that ramp. Let's do some manual labor here. What's going on down here? This might be the problem. I'm gonna turn on auto merge. Just snap that on there. It's actually off by a tiny bit for some reason. That should be better. These. Still not doing what I want, huh? Some manual labor again. Get these all going. How about now? There you go. There you go. Alright, so that's the way we want. So hopefully nothing is going to get in the way, and that should help guide it a little more in the direction that we're looking for. So we will try to print that, and then the problem is some of these holes aren't aligning quite right. When you try to pump it, there's some friction. So my solution to that would just be to widen the pump a little bit. There's so many little things going on with this build. Okay, maybe instead of doing that, we can line this pump up a bit more appropriately. Let's get rid of these keyframes that are constantly adjusting things for us. And let's get these two. try to get the topmost vertice, that's it. Then hit L to select everything it's attached to. Get rid of edge links. Then I'll try to line it up with this hole. It's very top vertice as well. At I don't think this one has one, maybe. Maybe that one. There's enough to it. And line these up a little bit. Let's see, so we got this bottom vertice, which I think is actually this one. Let's measure it against the pipe, or the barrel, which is this one. It looks like it's flush with that one, which means it might be too much over here. There's just so many things. These don't even line up. There's different numbers. But oh well, it's the best we can do right now. That's 0.5, and I don't think there's any problems with the barrel fitting into this hole. And you can see the discrepancy here between this and the pipe, which is why things aren't lining up as well as I hoped. Might just have to try my original idea, which was to widen this whole thing. Okay, first thing we're gonna need is a midway point. I don't seem to have such a thing. So I think this one and this one, maybe. Let's see. Seems like they're at least on the same level. So I'm gonna create that. And then we'll get our cursor to active. Well, go into edge mode and then cursor to active, which should be this edge. Cursor to active. There you go. And let's get the entire interfaces here. And these as well. Let's go ahead and hide these bits. These. These and these. These magnets will have to be pushed out too. There's just one on this guy though, so that's alright. Sure we got all these interfaces. Oh, need these two. And we have to push them out, but there's going to be so little space there, jeez. Alright, so scale, shift Y. So we're just going along the X and the Z axes. And I don't think that, oh, gotta go by 3D cursor as our pivot point. Shift Y. There we go. Alright, so we're bringing it dangerously close here. Point that it might not even be able to print any space in between these two. guess that's okay. How much did we even widen that by? So it's 1.14. Okay, that didn't help. 3.2. 3.2. And we're not even getting a full millimeter out of this move. But it might be enough because it's not off by a lot. And I think we did make some adjustments the other day with these holes. So I'm going to try to print the pump and the main again. Oh, and of course, this little reach ramp here as well. See if those made a difference. Alright. Alright, so I am still having some trouble getting the pump to line up very well with what we got. So, I'm thinking this will just have to come up a bit. That basically just got pushed inward like that. So let's get this whole area. And I'm thinking proportional editing, and we'll just raise everything up. I think we'll have it this. Let's go into edge mode and get this. Hopefully that'll go all the way down, right? Yeah. And I guess just pump it up a bit. It's difficult to know exactly how far. So let's try to line this up. This, I think, is the greatest distance between these two. 28.7. See, 29.8, 29.8. 29.8, 29.8. So any of these will probably do it. Just trying to find the midway point here. So let's say this one. And let's turn off the edge links. I'm trying to line it up with this one, which would be probably over here. Let's get snap, proportional editing off here. And what is happening is these two holes that should be on the same level are proving not to be. And of course, I'm not allowed to select the whole thing. Let's just grab it like this. Extruding GY. And yeah, it's not quite lining up as perfectly as I would like. So we're going to need all this. Let's get into edges. Got all those edges. And we're going to need to move it a bit. Let's get the snap off, proportional editing on. I'm not view connected only. That should at least be a heck of a lot closer, but ugh, look at that. I don't know if that's gonna interfere, but it definitely doesn't look as good. But I'm getting kind of tired of working on this one, so we'll just see if that does it. And of course I can't select just that edge loop. Of course. Okay, let's get in here. Select all these because we're not going to need them. Delete. Okay, what is this? Oh, there's just two vertices there. That's fine. Alright, let's try to print this one and see if that lines up better. Ugh. And see if it interferes with the barrel. Alright, couple more edits I feel would make things a bit smoother is elongating our breech paddle a bit because some of it likes to slip out some. It's difficult to say how much, but let's say that much. Not too much, just to see if we can keep it in the cavity back here that's designed for it without it slipping out every time we pump it forward. That's an issue right now. But at the same time, let's see where my breech ramp is. Seems like it would block it some. Well, actually, if it's all the way back, shouldn't be an issue. And I think when we extended this area a bit, we didn't do anything to the main, so it's having a little difficulty getting back there. It's getting stuck every now and again. So let's also alter this bit some. How do we want to? So we can disconnect this edge and bring this vertice over here with Shift V. Actually, let's bring this whole thing. Oh, that's not working. Let's just pull this GX over here. So that way we have plenty of room. See where this needs to be. Maybe over here now? And we could pull this a bit further. Let's put it right under here. GX, get snap on, and put it right over here. That should be plenty of room. That should be plenty of room. And we'll also take this edge. That's the inner part there. So where am I playing with this? No, that's the top. So I guess we get rid of that edge. Wait, no. Get rid of that edge. Then, yeah, use this, extend GY, get that over there. Then we can close this up. Alright. These two. Close that up. Then close this up. Alright. Get rid of these. Just want this little area. That's all we got, right? Okay. Okay, from there, can extend this back GX or GY. Now we can close these. And then I think we opened up back here. So let's close this as well. Make sure that's all we have. Face. Should be okay. I'm a little worried since we pulled it back. It might interfere a little bit, and I don't think it'll mess with anything, so we'll pull this back a little bit as well. And also, I kind of want to extend the spring a little bit. It's coming up a tiny bit short. It's still knocking the shell out, but it stops around here, and I'd like it to go all the way up here just to make sure the shell gets out. So let's see how I want to do that. I think we'll take it from where we take it from last time. We're messing around. Let's go in here. Get this top orientation. Let's see if we get everything there. And make one of these back vertices are active. And then we'll hit S, Y, oh, active element, S, Y. And then we can see how far we want to take it. Maybe there. A little more. Wait, hold on. Let me check something. Actually, I think we should leave the spring alone, because if we do elongate it, then the shell isn't going to have enough room to get into that area there. So we will leave the spring alone. We'll just have to pump it kind of hard to make sure. Not even that hard. Not even that hard. Because even if you go slow, it just kind of dribbles out. If you want it to really fly out, then you can just pump it a little harder. So I think that's it. Just the main, getting a little tweak here. And I think that's all. All right, back to printing. All right, still making some adjustments. Right now, I think a lot of it's working okay, but a problem is that when the spring pushes the shell up, this door isn't quite all the way back, which is causing the shell to catch right here. So I think the solution to that is to get our ramp. Now, see, this is what happens. The spring pushes it up and it gets caught right on there. So I'm thinking we push the ramp a little further up, or at least the slide part. So in order to do that, I'm going to go into X-ray mode, vertices mode, and all I'm going to do is take all that's part of the ramp, and let's make one of these our active, and we'll go active element, active. What is it? Active element, yeah, as our pivot point, and then we'll hit S to scale, Y, and then we'll pull it up a bit in front of that. Hopefully the shell can still go up there, but maybe the door won't interfere as much. Thinking if I should do a little more. Now I'm worried it might not be able to make that curve, but we can test. I don't really like how far this is sticking up. Maybe you could do something similar with these. Let's not get that one. Let's say these, and we'll make this our active. Oh, this our active. And then we'll scale, S for scale, Z, and then we'll bring that down. You know what? Maybe ignore this part. Bring that down a bit. Just so it's not sticking up. Well, honestly, that's probably not a bad thing. Maybe we should leave that alone. Yeah, we'll leave that alone. We'll just go with the shrink, see how that works. Alright, that's all I wanted. Alright, one more thing, I think. I'm liking what I'm seeing with the shell ejecting. The problem right now is that, let's get that breech paddle up. Where are you? There you go. The breech paddle keeps falling out of the slot here whenever it's pulled forward, because it's like this. There's this gap here, and there's nothing holding it in place, so it just kind of clumsily sits, and when you try to pump it, it doesn't slide back into its slot, which it should do. So I think the move here is to move it up. Ooh, But how far can I move it up? Is the problem, because it just keeps falling out of here. You know, one thing we could do is make the steel rod go all the way from the pump all the way through into the stock. That way, even when the pump's pulled forward, it'll stay in here, keeping the pedal hopefully aligned. That might be the solution. Another thing I want to do is pull up this face back here. I want to pull all of this a bit more forward. Yeah, that should be everything we need. The fear, though, let's get our 3D cursor around here. 3D cursor is that if we can move too forward, we might not be able to get that going. So, along with moving this face upward, maybe around here. And then also, I want to get this hole onto the other side as well. And I'm almost out of steel rod, so I might have to wait for my experiments on this one. But let's separate that with P, separate selection. And then we'll take this in edit mode. Get this circle, edit mode, and then control click on that. We should be able to cut through. I think these circles are a little different, so it's probably gonna do that. So let's hide that. Right? Because we just need to cut through these two faces. Alright, so let's mesh, knife project, cut through. Now we should have them there. Yep, that's what we want. Let's get rid of these faces. And then we can bridge these edge loops. So now we can put the steel rod all the way through. And I think we'll have to put it into the stock as well. just to give it enough room that even when it's moved forward, the pump is moved forward, that steel rod can go all the way up, back and forth without problems. So to that end, let's get this guy, move it a little forward, get you in edit. We can hide you now. Really glad I didn't print these yet. And then we do mesh, knife for jack. This time not cutting all the way through. Take this face, E to extrude, and it's a little too far. And that hopefully will be enough just to keep it aligned. I think that's about all we can really do. I'm gonna go ahead and try printing this again. Because with that, then maybe we can even extend this a little further back. Let me try that. Where's the main? Main. So this is as far back as it's gonna go right here. And maybe it should just go further back. That would help keep it from slipping out of the slot over here. Go a little longer. Trying to think of downsides. What could be screwing this up? It might be harder to slip in because right now, in order to install this, we got to go in through here or through here. And the longer it is, the more difficult it's going to be to get into these small spaces. But I'm going to reprint and see what we got here. Hey guys, another update I wanted to make on this prop. The spring, when I pull the trigger, it's just pressing against this flat area. So when you compress the trigger, let's see if I can show you, it dips, right? And then the spring ends up kind of curving over here and kind of messing that up. So I wanted to fix that by, I just subdivided over here. I wasn't sure I was going to make this video because getting kind of irritated with this whole project, but this is another thing that I wanted to do. So I subdivided there, and I'm going to extend this to make a little area so the spring gets caught in this corner rather than just slipping down. And then I also, if possible, wanted to make a little recess for the spring as well. I'm not sure if this is going to be wide enough. So we need 5.5 divided by 2 because it's radius. 5.5 divided by 2. Right? Yeah. Because that's the width of our spring, so hopefully that'll make a hole big enough for it to go through. Turn it off, snap, individual origins. Why are you not rotating? There you go. 90 degrees. Yeah, it should fit in there. Just barely, but it should fit in there. And we will put this down here. About as far as we can go. If we do have this recent, well, maybe this will just be support added back up. Just pull that up a little bit, and then we're going to knife project, mesh, knife project, not all the way through. And we'll extrude that, right click G, Y, pull it back a little bit, just to give it a little perch that spring can get into and hopefully not move around too much. Alright, that's all I wanted to do for that piece. So now we have a trigger that looks like this. Finally, the M37 pump-action shotgun based on the one found in Resident Evil 7 is done. It took the better part of a month, but I'm pretty happy with how it came out. This one proved to be a bit of a challenge due to all the little features I wanted to fit in this time. These included the pullable trigger, naturally we had to get the pump action, and further I managed to work out a system that lets us load a shell through the bottom loading port, then with a pump open the upper exit port for shell ejection. That may look simple, but it took so many remodels and reprints to get that working the way I wanted, but we finally got there. The STL files needed to print this prop along with over 40 other fun props are available to supporters of my Patreon. I also made a how-to series showing how this prop's parts were modeled, links in the description. And if you don't want to go through all this modeling, I do have the STL files needed to print all of my 3D printable props available to supporters over on my Patreon. We currently have over 40 props available and are adding more all the time. This prop will also be made available once it's finished. So if you'd like to skip the modeling and gain access to an entire armory of 3D printable props, check out my Patreon, link in the description. It is only $5 a month and you gain access to the entire armory of over 40 props. Staying a member ensures you get access to everything new added to the armory immediately and of course, very much helps support the channel. Speaking of supporting, we have to show our gratitude to M. John Simon, a real hero of the channel, supporting at the hero tier. Become a hero to get yourself special mention in these very videos, and as always, like and subscribe to ensure you never miss out on the next video. Until then, I have been Ken with Kenjutsu Bring It to Life, and I am out.